The world is full of surprises, and sometimes the most mundane moments can harbor danger. A recent incident has made many people reflect on the fragility of life. A 70-year-old man, full of vigor and energy, suddenly lost consciousness in his own home. There was no pain, no warning signs. He simply got out of bed, took a few steps, and the world around him faded away. Doctors attribute the incident to a minor, almost imperceptible error. And the most alarming thing is that millions of people over the age of 70 make this mistake every day. Many of us, waking up in the morning, think, if I'm awake, then everything is fine. However, the first few minutes after waking up can be decisive for the entire day and even for the future. A careless movement, a missed moment, or a slight oversight can lead to a fall, a hypertensive crisis, or more serious consequences. This article will examine 7 common morning mistakes that people over the age of 70 often make. Some of them seem insignificant, but their consequences can be quite serious. And most importantly, you will learn how to easily avoid these risks without resorting to radical changes in your life, but simply by making a few reasonable adjustments to your daily routine. Stay with us to find out exactly what mistakes may be lurking every morning and how to prevent them in order to maintain health and energy for many years to come. The 6th mistake, seemingly insignificant, actually imperceptibly undermines the health, vitality, and even mental balance of many elderly people. We will talk about it. The beginning of the day. Awakening. It seems that everything is going as usual. Silence reigns in the room. Dawn breaks outside the window. The body has not yet fully emerged from the embrace of sleep, but the mind is already immersed in plans and worries for the coming day. And then a deeply ingrained habit comes into play. The legs drop out of bed, and the person gets up. Suddenly, a strange, unpleasant sensation arises. There is a void in the head. The ground seems to be slipping away, and you have to frantically grab the nearest support, such as a bedside table. Usually, this condition lasts only a few moments and is perceived as a minor trifle. But behind this seeming harmlessness lies a serious danger that is rarely talked about, and not because it is rare, but rather because of its widespread prevalence. From a physiological point of view, the mechanism that was previously responsible for regulating blood circulation weakens with age. In a horizontal position, blood is distributed in the body differently than when a person is standing. With a sudden rise, the heart does not always have time to quickly provide the brain with enough blood. As a result, a short-term oxygen starvation occurs. The brain reacts extremely negatively to such surprises. This condition is called orthostatic hypotension. It cannot be called a disease in the full sense of the word. Rather, it is a reaction of the body, especially common after 60-70 years. However, if you neglect this signal, it can lead to undesirable consequences, namely, a fall. A fall, in turn, is fraught with hospitals, plaster casts, limitations in movement, and, importantly, fear of every new morning. The saddest thing is that a person may not even remember the moment of the fall, but wake up already lying on the floor. Doctors deal with such cases every day, but it is possible to prevent this unpleasant development by spending just 1 minute without resorting to medication and doctors and without making much effort. We are talking about a simple morning ritual that does not require meditation or physical exercise, but only suggests waking up without sudden movements, with respect for your body. Instead of jumping out of bed as if late for an important meeting, it is recommended to give yourself some time. It is enough to sit for at least half a minute, feel your legs, and move your feet slightly. This transition from sleep to active wakefulness can be compared to a bridge. You can cross it, carefully looking under your feet, or you can run blindly, risking stumbling. Climbing stairs becomes dangerous if you do not change this habit. Surprisingly, when a person treats himself with due attention, the body responds in kind, giving a feeling of lightness, clarity, and confidence. Let every morning begin with respect for yourself. There is no need to rush. First, you need to feel the support under your feet, and then take a step. This is not a sign of weakness, but a manifestation of wisdom, which comes not with the age indicated in the passport, but with the ability to listen to yourself. Another common mistake that many people make before breakfast is neglecting water. With the onset of the morning, some go straight to the stove, others to the kettle, but most people first reach for the usual cup of coffee. However, a glass of water, seemingly insignificant, may be the most important sip of the day. Throughout the night, your body continues to work tirelessly. The heart circulates blood, the lungs maintain breathing, and the kidneys filter waste. All these processes require adequate fluid intake. With every breath, every drop of sweat, and every movement during sleep, your body loses water. Upon waking, you may not even realize the deficit. The most insidious part is that you may not feel thirsty. After the age of 70, the body often stops sending clear signals. There's no dry mouth, no distinct feeling of thirst, and you get the impression that everything is fine. However, in reality, the blood becomes thicker, blood pressure can rise, and the heart begins to work harder. You often hear excuses like, "I'm not used to drinking in the morning," or simply, "I don't feel like it." But human physiology doesn't care about such subjective feelings. The body desperately needs water, and if it doesn't get it, it silently fights until it runs out of resources. The author, after starting his day with just a few sips of water, noticed dramatic changes: mental clarity, the disappearance of morning sluggishness, a feeling of lightness in the body, and improved digestion. The main secret is to make drinking water an integral part of your morning ritual, a habit like brushing your teeth. The author recommends placing a glass of water next to your phone or glasses to remember to take care of your body. Some people prefer to add lemon to their water, others a drop of honey. But the essence remains the same. Water is not just quenching thirst, but a powerful stimulus to kickstart metabolism, thin the blood, and ensure the smooth activation of all internal systems. Water is especially important for those who take morning medications. It promotes better absorption of drugs, reduces the likelihood of side effects, and softens the burden on the stomach and liver. This is not just folk wisdom, but a scientific fact based on precise biological processes. By starting the day with water, you initiate a whole chain of positive decisions. Choosing health, mindfulness, and self-care creates a solid foundation on which everything else will fall into place. The morning ritual that silently undermines your health. Morning greets us with the tantalizing aroma of coffee, symbolizing awakening, domestic comfort, and anticipation of new accomplishments. For many, the start of the day is unthinkable without that first sip of rich, aromatic, and invigorating drink, as if jump-starting the thought process. However, there is a belief that this ritual can have a negative impact on the body, especially in old age after 70 years. After waking, the body is at its most vulnerable. Energy reserves are depleted, and the stomach is empty. And it is at this moment that many people consume a liquid rich in acid and stimulants without providing any protection or support, while hoping to feel great. It is important to remember that coffee is not just a pleasant drink, but a complex mixture of chemicals. It stimulates the production of acid in the stomach, and if it is empty, the acid begins to corrode its walls, which over time can lead to heartburn, irritation, and gastritis. If such problems exist, they may worsen. In addition, caffeine promotes an increase in the level of cortisol, the stress hormone. This manifests not only in a feeling of alertness, but also in a rapid heartbeat, tremors, and fluctuations in blood pressure. This effect can be especially dangerous for people prone to anxiety or who have cardiovascular diseases. Should you give up your morning cup of coffee? Not at all. It is much wiser to support your body in a simple way. Eat something, even if it is just a little. A small handful of nuts, half a banana, or a small piece of bread will do. This is enough to start the digestive system and prevent the irritating effect of acid on an empty stomach. The author had long drunk coffee on an empty stomach, following a habit brought to automatism. Over time, this led to irritability, a feeling of heaviness in the stomach, and bouts of causeless anxiety. However, the situation changed for the better as soon as he began to drink coffee after a light snack. An additional advantage of this approach is a softer effect of coffee on the body. Caffeine is absorbed gradually, without sudden jumps, providing greater stability, peace, and benefits from your favorite drink. Even those who are indifferent to coffee can appreciate this small adjustment. It is a simple protection, a manifestation of concern for digestion, hormonal balance, and overall well-being. Ultimately, coffee should bring pleasure, not stress. Make it a part of your morning harmony, not a source of discomfort. Drink coffee feeling internal support, not on an empty stomach. Then the aroma will become richer, and the whole day will be better. As one ages, the morning takes on a special significance, becoming the most delicate time of day. Upon opening their eyes, a person immediately senses that something is amiss. Their back is tense, their knees are stiff, and their neck feels as if it has turned to wood. It is not a sharp pain, but rather a lingering tension that many tend to ignore, often causing themselves harm. During sleep, the body is in a relatively still state. Muscles relax, blood circulation slows down, joints function in a gentle mode, and synovial fluid circulates slowly. This is an entirely natural process. However, abruptly jumping out of bed and immediately performing bends, squats, or lifting heavy objects disrupts the natural sequence of the body's awakening. With age, when elderly individuals begin their day with sudden movements, whether it's walking to the kitchen, bending to retrieve kitchenware, or lifting a heavy teapot, they risk encountering undesirable consequences. The body, not yet fully awakened from its night's rest, is unprepared for such exertion. This is akin to trying to start a frozen car without preheating it. The engine may indeed start, but the risk of damage increases significantly. A similar situation occurs with the musculoskeletal system, particularly the spine, hip joints, and knees, which are already prone to wear and tear, compression, reduced moisture content, and arthritic changes with age. A careless movement can trigger microtraumas that gradually develop into pain, swelling, and limited mobility. However, it is not necessary to engage in complex acrobatic exercises to maintain health. A few gentle movements, which can be performed even without getting out of bed and without any special equipment, are sufficient. While lying in a horizontal position, one can begin by flexing and rotating the toes, ankles, neck, and shoulders, as if gradually turning on the lights in the body, avoiding sudden switches. Personal experience shows that a morning exercise routine can begin with ankle rotations, toe stretches, gentle neck rotations, and shoulder movements. Then, transitioning to a seated position on the bed, one can perform a few shoulder shrugs and spinal stretches. This is a kind of morning handshake with one's body, which responds in kind. One of the most noticeable results of this practice is an improved gait. If previously it felt as though the legs were lagging behind, now the brain and muscles work in sync, lending confidence to each step. As an added bonus, mental clarity is noted. Deliberate movements awaken not only the muscles, but also the nervous system, contributing to improved concentration and memory. Thus, the day begins not in chaos, but in a state of calm control. After reaching a certain age, such as 70, haste becomes unnecessary. A conscious, unhurried pace of life seems a more sensible approach. Each morning begins with awakening, and often the body and spirit feel bent and weary. Few pay attention to the silent but influential culprit of this state: posture. It does not cause sharp pain, but it determines well-being, gait, breathing, and even the train of thought, setting the tone for the entire day. Consider the example of an elderly person who, upon waking, lowers their legs from the bed and involuntarily slumps. Their shoulders are drooped, their head is bowed, and their spine is curved. At first glance, this seems harmless and natural, but such a slight inclination instantly triggers a whole chain of negative consequences. A hunched chest constricts the lungs, limiting air intake, which in turn leads to reduced brain activity due to lack of oxygen. The feeling of fatigue, lethargy, and heaviness, often attributed to age, is actually the result of a cramped body position that interferes with normal breathing. One should not forget about digestion, which also suffers from poor posture. Compressed internal organs hinder the work of the stomach, slowing down the digestive process, and the intestines become less active, leading to bloating, cramps, and constipation. And all this because of the posture that a person assumes for just a few minutes. The influence of posture extends even deeper, shaping the emotional state. When a person stands straight, they often feel more confident and energetic, as the body and mind are inextricably linked. It is enough to straighten the back, lift the chin, and direct the gaze forward for the phrase, "I am old," to change to, "I am still capable." And this is not just an illusion, but a real physiological change. An open chest allows for deeper breathing, and blood flows freely to the brain. Slouching quickly becomes a habit, but it is worth looking at oneself from the outside. Wouldn't there be a desire to stand straight not only for the sake of an attractive appearance, but also for the feeling of inner support and confidence? Combating the effects of poor posture, which manifest as stiffness of movement, begins with a simple morning ritual performed right in bed. Before getting up, it's recommended to do a full-body stretch, imagining an invisible thread pulling from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Then, sitting up, it's important to feel both feet firmly planted on the floor, drawing the shoulders back and keeping the chin parallel to the floor. A deep breath completes this 20-second routine, signaling the body's readiness for the new day. Getting out of bed should be smooth, with a sense of lengthening the spine upwards, as if pulled by that same invisible thread. The core muscles should be slightly engaged, providing support to the spine. This moment is not just getting out of bed, but laying the foundation for the entire day ahead. At first, the new posture may feel uncomfortable, but over time it will become a natural and necessary part of the morning routine. This process helps to restore strength and confidence lost due to years of slouching. Posture is not just a physical state, but a reflection of a person's inner dignity and outlook on life. By starting each day with correct posture, a person raises not only their body, but also their consciousness, filling the morning with true meaning. Many overlook the importance of a proper awakening, which negatively affects the overall balance of the body. Along with obvious morning rituals such as drinking coffee or brushing teeth, there are less noticeable but equally important habits, the absence of which can have a hidden impact on the quality of life. How often does a person think about the condition of their legs immediately after waking up? Are they aware of the sensation in their feet, shins, and knees? Most people simply don't pay attention, assuming that the body turns on automatically. However, after 70 years, this autopilot may malfunction, reminding us of the need for a more conscious approach to our bodies. The legs are the foundation of the human body, guaranteeing stability, coordination, and balance. Over time, muscle tissue loses its strength, receptors on the feet become less sensitive, and the brain's processing speed of signals about body position slows down. A person may not realize these changes until a fall occurs. Often, accidental stumbles are blamed, but the true cause lies in years of ignoring the needs of one's own body. The author realized this when, one morning, upon getting out of bed, his legs felt foreign to him. This was not accompanied by pain, but rather a feeling of clumsiness and weakness. It wasn't fear, but a warning sign that the connection between the brain and body was weakening. The solution to this problem is conscious movement. Now, every morning, he spends just 2 minutes regaining control over his legs. Sitting on the bed, he makes circular motions with his ankles, lifts his toes, and flexes his heels. Then he stands up, but doesn't start walking. The feet are firmly planted on the floor, the knees are slightly bent, and the weight is evenly distributed. For a moment, he closes his eyes to adjust his balance. This inconspicuous workout brings surprising results. Steps become more confident, gait becomes firmer, and anxiety levels decrease. Statistics show that most fractures in people over 70 occur due to falls in the home, often immediately after waking up in familiar surroundings. Therefore, it is recommended to start the day by strengthening the stability of the legs and support in order to move confidently and reduce the risk of injury. Unfortunately, no one teaches us to check the condition of our legs daily, but it is extremely important. The ability to move freely in a year, 5 years, or 10 years depends directly on this. Start small. Just look down and feel the floor beneath your feet. This is your foundation. Strengthen it, and everything above it will become stronger. Imagine waking up in a realm of utter darkness where life energy is gradually fading away. The eyelids slowly open, revealing a room shrouded in gray, lifeless twilight. Dense curtains, like impregnable guards, reliably block the path of sunlight. Getting out of bed, a person may decide to turn on a dim light, but only upon reaching the kitchen. At this time, the brain, deceived by the surrounding environment, stubbornly insists that it is night. Morning light is not just a pleasant addition to waking up, but a crucial regulator that triggers a complex system involving the brain, hormones, and mood. In the absence of this natural stimulus, the switch either doesn't work at all or activates with a noticeable delay, leading to a feeling of desynchronization throughout the day. As the years pass, a person's biological clock begins to malfunction, and restoring it becomes increasingly difficult. Living in constant darkness can completely disrupt the body's internal clock. The consequences of such a disruption are quite noticeable: persistent fatigue, sleepy mornings, increased nervousness, restless nights, and sluggish, unproductive days. Many people wonder why, despite feeling tired, they can't fall asleep, or why they feel drowsy during the day but are wide awake at midnight. Often, the root of the problem lies in a lack of morning sunlight. The early rays of the sun stimulate the production of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that is subsequently converted into melatonin, a hormone that promotes sleep. If a person misses the opportunity to greet the dawn, this entire complex chain of chemical reactions is disrupted, leading to negative consequences for health and well-being. It all starts with a person being immersed in the dimness of their own bedroom, where heavy curtains remain carelessly drawn and the windows are tightly closed. This seemingly insignificant tendency gradually drains their vitality and undermines their health. A genuine transformation occurred the moment they made it a rule to throw open the curtains immediately after waking up. Not when they finally get out of bed, but within seconds of opening their eyes, sometimes without even bothering to sit up. Bright light penetrates the room unhindered, caressing their face, skin, and awakening their brain, as if proclaiming, "A new day has begun." Even a gloomy, overcast morning has a beneficial effect. The main thing is not to avoid the life-giving daylight. Regular exposure to sunlight significantly reduces anxiety and depression, improves concentration, and restores emotional balance. Just imagine how many years of precious time were spent in an artificially created twilight when it was possible to enjoy the light. Years overshadowed by brain fog and constant fatigue, all because of one simple, seemingly insignificant gesture. The solution to this problem is ridiculously simple. Make light your first morning ritual. Throw open the curtains to greet the new day, take a deep breath of fresh air, or perhaps even step out onto the balcony for a few minutes. Light is essential nourishment for the brain, as necessary as clean water, physical activity, and proper posture. Don't wait for your body to adapt to waking up on its own. Show it how to start the day. And then every morning will begin with clarity of thought, tranquility, and inexhaustible energy. Each new dawn opens up a blank slate of possibilities before us. Perhaps you prefer to succumb to inertia and automatically engage in the usual rhythm, but there is another way. To pause for a moment, listen to your body, and take a conscious first step. This choice can transform not only your morning, but also your entire day, and in the long run, your entire life. Contrary to popular belief, age does not weaken our ability to manage our lives, but rather sharpens it. With age comes an understanding of the value of accuracy and awareness. We begin to prefer simple and effective solutions, avoiding senseless bustle. We cannot stop the relentless passage of time, but we can learn to follow it wisely, supporting ourselves rather than depleting ourselves, carefully listening to the signals of our body rather than ignoring them, becoming stronger and wiser through accumulated experience rather than trying to return to a carefree past. The proposed habits are not strict and immutable rules, but rather gentle reminders that our body is our faithful ally. Give it a little care and attention at the dawn of a new day, and it will surely reward you with a sense of stability, inexhaustible endurance, and clarity of mind that will accompany you throughout